What's up guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So today we are going over the Object 274A. It's a new Tier 8 premium Russian tank that was just released on the 27th or Black Friday. And it's also the new marathon tank. So just like the previous marathon tanks like the T-44-100 or the LIS, you have 10 missions over 10 days to try to get as much of a discount as possible. If you get all 10 missions done, you get a 100% discount and get the tank for free. If you get like say 8 of the missions done, which is what I suggest doing, you can get an 80% discount and buy it for about like $10–15. So it's a good deal. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the tank afterwards. Let's talk about the stats. I'm going to show you guys some gameplay and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now let's go ahead and talk about the stats of the tank. Now I find this really interesting because the 274, in my opinion, is pretty much just a copy paste of the LIS, except it's a little bit tankier and a little bit slower. So it has better DPM. I'd say the gun is overall about the same. Maybe the LIS is a little bit more accurate, but the penetration on the 274 is really, really nice. I think you have like 290 millimeters of pen on the gold round, 227 on the standard. Gun handling, the LIS beats it. Also, the other tier mediums do as well. Top speed, it actually goes to the 274, which is interesting, but it has really bad power to weight at 17, where the LIS beats it at 20, but it does have a much lower top speed. So I guess going down hills, you're going to be faster, but generally when I was playing it, I found it quite a bit sluggish. The armor, now that is where this tank is ridiculous. Now, when we go to the armor model, you're going to see it. Let's go ahead and switch over. So basically, your turret is about 300 millimeters of effective armor in most places. Now, if you have a lot of penetration, maybe 280 or so, you can penetrate right through the gun mantlet, like in here. So it's going to struggle a little bit against tier 10 shooting gold, especially APCR gold. But the hull is not great. It's like 220, so basically anybody shooting gold at tier 8 or above is going to pen, maybe even standard. If you angle it, it's still okay, but this tank is actually really good at side scraping. Now if I show you just the visual model here, it kind of has like this really weird hole where it kind of drops like this. So if you're aiming like this on the high side, when you get back in here, it's all like spaced armor and you bounce. So you kind of have to shoot like this weird spot here. And then if you're kind of trying to shoot like the sides, like all these sprockets get in the way. So you kind of have to shoot like really specific angles. Now that gold ammo, really nice, 289 pen, that 320 alpha, and the 1300 shell velocity. Very effective. I really like using the gold ammo because basically you can pen tier 8 heavy tanks with it, or even tier 10 heavy tanks. Really nice to use. I'm going to show you guys some gameplay. I'm going to try to showcase something a little bit different, show you different parts of the gameplay, instead of just focusing on one replay. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's hop into it. Alright, so here we are. We're spawning on north side on Tundra. Really good map. I like it a lot. A lot you can do in the map. You can play pretty much anywhere. One line it works. You can play the middle. You can play 9-0. This is my favorite place to play though, on the hill. If you can make it all the way up, it's really big. If you can't, you can still play hold down and play pretty effectively. Now, I didn't talk about my equipment loadout. So in this game, I am running Vents, V-Stab, and Rammer. That allows me to get max view range. I think this tank has a pretty good base view range, so being able to hit that 445 minimum is really nice for just for being able to spot things. Now, after this though, I switched over and I dropped the vents for an improved rotational mechanism. I just noticed that like sort of like with that shot, my dispersion wasn't great when I'm kind of like aiming around, so I wanted to fix that a little bit. I had a bounty one, so threw it on there. It honestly it helped a lot, so I would suggest running that if you have the crew skills to keep your view range around 440. So we're playing this ridgeline, and you can see like I think I switched to gold rounds here because I was bouncing off the T-54. And we switched to gold, that 289 pen, right through the turret of the tank. And it just makes it so much easier. Here we can take a second to aim, hit the shot. We get shot in return though. Kind of over-angled. That side armor is pretty good, but not if you don't have anything to angle it against. So, return a nice shot into him. Now, something I want to talk about is this tank. I think the most similar tank to this tank is the CS-52 LIS. It was recently released. Same alpha, pretty similar armor, similar mobility. And when it came out, I was like hyped about the tank. I made a video about it, saying how good it was. A lot of people ground out for the marathon. They got the tank, they loved it. Pretty much the general feedback in the tank was really good, and a lot of people are happy of Wargaming for releasing it. But I think this one might be a little bit different. I have a feeling people might not be so happy with this. The reason being, this tank is one of the best tier 8 mediums in the game, hands down. You'll see as we play a little bit more, you can see the video. It plays really, really well. The problem though is Russian, and we already have so many overpowered Russian tanks in the game. Do we really need another tier 8 Russian medium that just dominates? I don't know. So, like, I appreciate having a good tank, but I have a feeling some people might be a little annoyed with it. I took an unnecessary hit there. You can see my mouse shake there. I do that whenever I'm frustrated. I learned that I was watching a pro gamer like 4 years ago, and he like missed a shot, and he just started shaking his mouse really mad. And so I just started doing that because I thought it was cool. Poke up, see if we get the kill shot here. We do. Pretty good game. On to the next. So I chose this clip because I think it's a pretty good example of the mobility of the tank. When we're on flat ground, we're doing about 40-45, which is pretty respectable, honestly, considering how heavily armored we are. And when we're going up hills, you can obviously see it's a little bit slower, 25-30. Now, basically what that allows you to do is it allows you to still play medium tank positions, but because of your extra armor, you can play heavy tank positions. So I want to go south at the beginning of this game, and it didn't work out because at the time there was like almost nobody going south, so it wouldn't have been worth it for me. But in retrospect, it probably would have been better, but you know, you can't win them all. So we go to this corner and hit a nice shot there into the Sunlac. Now, this is another thing that's really interesting to me. This tank only has 1200 HP. Now, what exactly does that mean? 1200. Well, the T-44-100 has 1350. And what that means is that if you take 3 shots from a 1400 or 400 alpha tank, you're going to be able to live on 1350 HP. So you go down to 150 on average. In this tank, if you take 3 shots from a 400 alpha tank, you could die half the time. So you have to be really careful. I found myself like, wow, I don't have much HP. That seemed like it happened a lot to me. So we overpoke here in the ravioli, and see what I'm talking about. We already lost like 25% of our HP, and that's not great. So we're poking the corner here, looking for a shot into the 430, and let's see if we get it here or not. All right, nice, we do. So let's talk a little bit about trading. Now this gun, 320 alpha, and I talked a lot about it with the LIS with also having 320 alpha. Now the important thing is like when you're firing your trading, typically other tier 8 mediums have about 240 alpha guns. So if you combine your 320 along with good armor, you're probably going to be bouncing about half your shots. You're going to be winning most of your trades. Now when you overpoke into a tank with 390 alpha like the Ravioli has, you're not going to be winning your trades. So this is actually a pretty tough position for me to play. See, he bounces off my turret, because the problem here is if I overpoke, they could have tanks in the back that could shoot me. These guys could just drive up and pressure me. I have nobody here to support me except for the tank behind me on the offside. Just a tough position to play. Also, Artie could hit me, so it's just really not a great place. Honestly, I'm kind of hungry for damage here. The smart play is to not overpoke here, wait for them to poke up and back off. But here I want the shot. I poke up, they both poke up in unison. It's not looking good. 1 shot. And 2. We go down here. So the pitfalls of not having a lot of HP. You know, I was thinking about it a little bit. The last tank, at least the last tier 8 medium that I could think of, that could really reliably bounce shots all the time, play really strong against any other tank in its own tier, is probably the T-54 Mod 1. And honestly, different gun, different pen, different accuracy, all different there. But just the way that you could angle the Mod 1, especially back in the day, especially several years ago, a lot less people fired gold rounds. Like, I'm guilty here of shooting gold rounds because I want to pen otherwise. But back in the day, like when everybody shot mostly standard, the Mod 1 was a beast. And now that a lot more people shoot gold, the Mod 1 struggles a little bit more. I think this tank will actually be really good against gold rounds. So, for one, the mantlet is pretty strong. It's kind of tough to hit. And everything surrounding the mantlet will bounce most tier 8 gold rounds. You do have the cupolas, yes, but the cupolas are really small and pretty hard to hit. So for your average player, they're going to struggle to hit those consistently. And let's face it, side scraping this thing is a beast. So we found the low here. And the low is also side scraping. He can side scrape pretty well, but remember, I have 289 penetration. He could poke out sideways, bang, right through his upper plate. Doesn't matter. A mill overpokes, gets a shot into my lower plate here. It's a free pen for him. He doesn't know how to pen me here though. Bounces my upper plate. He's scared. He backs off. It just really shows the strength of this tank in this position. Alright, now we're going to talk a little bit about a weakness of this tank, and that's gun depression. Yes, it doesn't have gun depression like, for instance, like a T-34-3 or something. It has 6 degrees instead of 5, which is better, I guess, but 6 degrees is not much. And playing a ridge like this, you really have to use your terrain properly. You can see me kind of just like edging on the corner, just trying to get a shot, see if we can hit the cupola of the low here. Do we aim for the cupola? What a shot. That was ridiculous. These gold rounds are just ridiculous. Like, they just destroy anything that tier 8 calls armor. You can go through almost anything at tier 8. We're actually getting capped here, which I was kind of worried about at the time, but there's nothing I could do about it, so I just kept fighting. I'm trying to use my terrain here to find an angle on that Chrysler. Not gonna happen, but that WZ actually died in like a really convenient place for me. My bad poke there. I showed my lower plate to him. The low bounces. The other tank also bounces. Now we can start to side scrape, and I chose this clip because I want to show you guys how you can side scrape, and also just the incredible penetration on these gold rounds. Like, the standard rounds are nice, 220. You know, it's definitely pretty good for tier 8 standard. What the heck? What is that a mill doing? But these gold rounds are just ridiculous. So I didn't realize this, but apparently you can shoot right through the middle of a load. It was green. I'm like, heck, I'll just shoot. So I fired right through the middle of his turret. I was like, okay, cool. So now we're side scraping. They're not paying attention. Maybe side of the turret. It doesn't pen. I think it was too much towards his mantlet. A little bit stronger of an angle there. Is green there as well. So I have the armor penetration reticle on. A couple more bounces. I want you guys to keep in mind when you're watching this. This is a medium tank. This isn't a heavy tank. Another shot into the... Alright. I guess we penned those too. This tank's ridiculous. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.